Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Bim bam, bim 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 bam. Bim 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 bam. Bim bam, bim 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 bam. Bim 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 bam. Toda rabba. Thank you very much, Jasmine and your backup dancers. Oh. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. It is so wonderful to get to see all of you this evening and to get to spend Shabbat together as we celebrate Shabbat, as we celebrate with Kitab Bet, and as we begin or continue to send out all of our positive vibes and prayers and energy all the way to Phoenix to wish for a very successful Super Bowl for our Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll have more of that later, I promise. We will bring the spirit and what? And food. We'll have more food too. If you're hungry, we can get you some food in the kitchen. So just tell your parents to go get you some. Okay. So we are going to continue with our service on page 5 with Shalom Aleichem. And Bryn is going to help lead us, and Asher are going to help lead us in this prayer as we welcome the angels of Shabbat into our hearts and into our space. And we welcome all of you into our sanctuary this evening. Page 5. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boahem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Barhuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seishem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech, Malachei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Toda rabba to Asher and Bryn. We continue with our service on the top of page 10 with Yedid Nefesh. Yedid Nefesh, Avarachaman, Mishoch Avdach, El Ritzonach, Yarut Avdach, Kimoayach, Yishtach Hadur Na'ezib Ha'olam Nafshi Cholat Ahavata Ana Elna Rifana La Be'rola Noam Zivach Astir Hazek V'tirapeh V'haitalach Shivchat Olam Yadadai 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 We turn to page 14 as we continue to move through Kabbalat Shabbat, which is the section of our service meant to help us to welcome Shabbat. That is what Kabbalat Shabbat means. It is welcoming the Sabbath. And so every week we are encouraged to take this little extra time on Friday night to not just rush through our dinner or not just rush through our service, but to really allow ourselves to be in it and to get ready for the Shabbat and whatever that might mean for us. Maybe it might mean thinking about what we're wearing to our Bet class service. Maybe it might mean getting ready to come here to celebrate tonight. Maybe it is spending a little extra time cleaning our room or making our bed or doing something at home to welcome guests into our home. There's lots of things that we do to get ready for Shabbat. And I think it's a good reminder that sometimes we need to allow ourselves a little extra time to transition from one thing to the next. I'm sure we've all had very busy weeks, whether we're at work or at school or running around and doing lots of different things. And so sometimes it's nice to just take a minute to take a deep breath, to allow ourselves to be and to settle in. And so the other thing that is really nice about Kabbalat Shabbat is that it serves as an invitation for us to really look back on the week that has passed and to not just have gotten through it, to get to the weekend and to get to another week next week, but to appreciate where we've been. And so I want to ask all of you, as we are moving into Kabbalat Shabbat, if there are things from this week that you experienced that were particularly awesome and amazing and full of joy that you want to make sure to bring into Shabbat with you, and that maybe you're really excited to share that with the rest of our community too, so that we can all share in that joy with you. So Asher, we would love to hear from you. Your birthday! Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach, Yom Huledet Sameach. Two full heads. Two full heads. How did that happen, guys? It has to happen. But did you have a good birthday? Yeah. Are you continuing to celebrate? All right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. And we are so grateful to have you in our community and in our Kitab Bet class. And you bring us so much joy all the time. And so thank you for sharing that joy with us. Aurora, what's something that you want to share with us?
Share? Okay. So, my family celebrated Christmas.
Did you? Well, this week? You did it just this week? You're a little late.
On
2022. Okay. So we are still on a high from 2022 of the good things that we celebrated. Clearly made an impression. So you can share anything about good things in your life, but if you have something especially awesome from this week in particular, we'd love to hear that as well. Maya. Eagles Dress Down Day. So, for those who wear uniforms to school, any dress down day is cause for celebration. Today was Eagles Dress Down Day, a very exciting moment at your school. I have to say, it was, and not often does the whole school get a dress down day. Sometimes it's just like one class at a time. They might like earn one for doing something awesome. Dolly had 2 dress down days this week because her class did a great job at an assembly on Wednesday. I'm like taking your thing, maybe, sorry. But driving up to school today, for a pickup, it was pretty wild to see the entire school not in uniform. It was like we were on some alternate planet. You were wearing pajamas? I'm very jealous. I was not wearing pajamas today. Dolly, did you want to raise your hand too, or were you just fixing your dress? Oh, okay. Does anyone else have something awesome that happened this week? Mom? Diane finished her jigsaw puzzle. How long have you been working on your jigsaw puzzle?
Actually, it didn't change as long as I thought.
Okay. Well, mazel tov on finishing your puzzle. Anyone else have anything they wish to share? Do you have something?
We went to the theater last night.
We did go to the theater last night. We saw Come From Away, which was awesome. Highly recommended at the Academy of Music. Schwartzmans were there too. Hi, Schwartzmans, if you're watching. We saw them as well. And I mean, it's an incredible story. If you don't know the story, familiarize yourself with the story because it is based on true events. Come From Away. And do you want to share on one foot what Come From Away is about?
When flights were grounded on September 11th, 2001, the one place in North America where all of the planes got sent was a small town in Newfoundland called Gander. And for about a week plus, this town of like a couple hundred, a few thousand people exploded to, that was bad, sorry, became the population multiplied quite a bit. Oh my God, I can't believe I said
More than doubled.
Sorry.
More than doubled.
Thank you. And everybody, it's just everybody trying to figure out if they were, what happened to their family members and stuff. And it's just a really heartwarming show.
It is such a,
yeah.
It was a wonderful production. It is a heartwarming story, a beautiful reminder of the ways in which we can open our hearts, especially in the midst of what was happening in our country, which was such a difficult moment. And we can all remember, actually, probably for those who lived through that there was an openness that a lot of us felt after those days. But to see the way that this town just took everybody in was incredible. And I have to say that the actors in the show, I mean, they were moving the entire time. Like, there's like one set of people, and they are on the stage the whole time.
And they jump between multiple
it
characters.
was
just jump like
quite a feat.
It's a very tight ensemble show. It's very cool. And
Yeah,
it's
worth seeing.
It's on. They taped it. Wow, I know too much about this. They taped it on Broadway, and it was on Apple for a little bit. I don't know if it's still on Apple, but if you check out Apple TV, you might be able to find it. The Broadway production that got taped.
It is an uplifting, heartwarming story, and reminds us all how to open our hearts when we can, and definitely pay it forward into the future to be able to help one another. So, I invite you to continue to think about if there's things in your week or in your life that you're feeling particularly grateful for, or that were really joyous, because we want to hold on to those moments and those memories so that they can continue to inspire us well past this Shabbat and well past this week. And so whether you sort of hold that in your own mind and your own heart, or whether you are inspired to share that with someone you love and to really appreciate that together, appreciating the week that we had just, I think, can give us even more fuel for moving us into Shabbat and into the next week. So we will continue on page 14 at the red arrow and invite you to join with us in Hebrew or in the transliteration. Page 14.
ישמחו השמיים,
השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים,
השמיים,
ישמחו השמיים, ותעיה הארץ. ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותעיה הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו, ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו.
Continue on page 16, 4 lines up from the bottom in the Hebrew or in the transliteration.
אוי זרוע לצדיק, אוי ישרי לב שמחה. אוי זרוע לצדיק, אוי ישרי לב שמחה. אוי זרוע לצדיק, אוי ישרי לב שמחה. אוי ישרי לב שמחה. אוי זרוע לצדיק, אוי ישרי לב שמחה. אוי ישרי לב שמחה.
Before we move into Lecha Dodi, we invite Mo or Marcia to come on up to share a little bit about the presentations that you're going to be hearing about from all of our students.
Hi, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to move this up a little bit. That's better. Yeah, okay. So welcome to our Shabbat. We made it here. Yay. Welcome to the Bet Class Kabbalat Shabbat service. We chose to present to you this evening as a reflection of our learning this year about the connection between Dr. Martin Luther King and Rabbi Abraham Heschel. In the spirit of these leaders, using the prompt, I make the world a better place when I. Throughout our service this evening, our BET students will be sharing with you their thoughts on this idea. And I'm going to invite Kobe to come first to talk. Do you want this, bud? Okay. You want me to stand with you?
I make the world a better place when I be, mention, help others before myself.
Thank you, Kobe. So I'm going to invite the entire BET class to please rise as we all turn to page 23. And they are going to lead us in Lecha Dodi. And as we recite and sing this prayer, we are meant to be thinking about welcoming Shabbat as if we are welcoming a bride. So whether it is a bride or whether it is someone that you are just so excited to see, think about maybe a guest coming who you haven't seen in a really long time and you're so excited and it's like you've been waiting for so long for this to happen. That's how we're supposed to feel every time Shabbat comes. And so that's how we're supposed to feel when we sing this prayer. So hopefully you can muster some of that excitement as we move through on page 23. Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela. Should we come up? Would it help? Okay. If it would help, I'm happy to have it. Okay, just now. Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad L'Shem U'Tiferet V'Litila
Lecha Dodi
Lecha
Dodi Likrat Hala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Hala Pnei Shabbat Nekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu B'nei סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת הלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת הלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We turn to page 25 and continue 2 lines down, or the second verse down on page 25. We're not done yet. We're not done yet.
ימינו שמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תעריצי, היד איש בן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת חלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת חלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
I invite you to rise and face the door as we move into our final verse.
בואי בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת חלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת חלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
You may be seated. Laura Suzanne, you have become our Sabbath bride. Mazel tov to you. We continue on page 27 with the Psalm for Shabbat.
מזמור של יום שבת, דבלה לאדוני, לזמר שמך ויאללה הגיע ולזכר ולכבד ולעשר צדיקת עמי יפרח,
Page 28.
כארז בלבנון יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו עוד ינובון בסלע דשנים מרננים יהיו לעין ישר אדוני צורי צורי ולא עוולת בו.
We turn ahead for a moment all the way to page 82 if you would like the words. I know some folks may know the words. All the way down to the bottom of the page, we see the words, Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachat. How good and pleasant, how wonderful it is when all of us can be together. And I continue to feel that each time we have a class service, it has been so long since we've been able to come together for those who were able to join us for dinner before our service and to be in person for our class services. It's good to be back. And I know that life is still challenging in lots of ways, and I'm so grateful each time that we find ourselves able to gather in this way. So I invite you to join with us with these words on page 82. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
turn back now to page 39, but before we get to our prayer to the Barhu, I invite Hannah and Ryan to share with us how you each have made the world a better place.
I make your world a better place when I make good choices and know what is important.
I make this world a better place when I help less fortunate people and elderly people. Please turn to page 39 and rise as we recite the Barhu.
Beautiful. That's you guys too. Stand up. Page 39.
Baruch Adonai Habarah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Habarah Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. Toda Rabbah.
Down.
יום ובין לילה, מבט יום ובין לילה, לילה צבאות שמו, חי וקיים, צב מידים לך לילה לילה ועד, ברוך אדוני, המרי ורבים.
Amen. We invite Asher to go on up and to share with us how you make the world a better place. Just leave that on your chair. Yep, thank you. And you can head on up.
Remember the conversation we had about standing in the middle of the thing?
He was on the other side of the room.
Put it up here so that you can see it and be heard.
I make the world a better place when I pick up trash that isn't mine and give food to the hungry.
Toda Rabbah. So many good things that we are all learning of things that we can do. Picking up trash, being kind to others, being kind to those who are older or who are younger or who don't have as much. So many good things to learn. So we turn to page 40 now, and I invite Kita Bet to rise as they help lead us in Kihem Hayenu, which is 5 lines up from the bottom in the Hebrew, or 4 lines up in the transliteration. Page 40.
כי הם חיינו,
ויורך ימינו,
ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו, ויורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. כי הם חיינו, ויורך ימינו, ובהם נהגה יומם ולילה. הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה. הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה. הם חיינו ויורך ימינו ובהם נהיה יומם ולילה. ידך תסיר ממנו לעולמים, ברוך את אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen. You may be seated, Kita Bet. And Dahlia, you are up next to help lead us in Shema and V'ahavta as we turn to page 41. So as we get ready for Shema, we focus our attention in our minds and in our hearts. And it's an opportunity to really focus on the ways in which all of us, here and far away, are all connected, and the ways in which we are connected to all living creatures. So remember, we have to get ready. Okay. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchut
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך
ובכל לבבך, ובכל נפשך, ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננת לבבך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשופטך ובקומך, ובשרתם להיות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובשעריך.
Toda Rabbah. We continue silently on the top of page 42.
Adonai Elohechem emet.
We turn to page 44 for Micha Mocha, and just last week we read these words from our Torah scroll, and some of you were here as Ava's class read Torah for the very first time, so you all got to read these words and the words around these words. And it was really special because we used the scroll that normally is in the case in the lobby, the scroll that came to us from a town called Luz in Czechoslovakia that survived. The scroll survived the Holocaust, and we are very blessed to have that scroll in our community. It's currently in our ark because we're going to read from it again tomorrow. And so we read these words from Torah last week. And they're the words that the Israelites sang right after they crossed the sea and they were freeing themselves from slavery with the help of Moses and God. And we have that reminder every time we come to our prayer service of that moment, of our relationship with one another. And it's a moment to also be grateful for the freedom that we have in our lives. So, does your sister want to join you while you help lead us in Micha Mocha? Does she want to come
I don't
up?
know.
No?
I think she just wants to.
She's very busy.
Yeah.
She's got like the purse and the phone. She's like,
Does she have her jewelry?
Come
she
on
can't
up.
live without her jewelry, basically.
do you want to come up? Come on. Come here.
No.
Got it? You were like ready to go. Oh, watch the bag. There you go. Okay. Here, come over to your brother.
Wrong way. Come on. This way. Yeah.
Pick her up. All right.
Ready? Mi hamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi hamocha le'adam kodesh na'arati lo osei be'ereh.
Moshe Zelion v'Amru
Adonai
Yimloch le'olam
Good job,
va'ed Nemar Yimelach Adonai et Yaakov U'golam Yechazak mimenu Baruch Adonai Ga Yisrael.
Amen. Thank you to both of you for helping to lead us in Micha Mocha. We turn now to page 45 for Hashkivenu. And with Hashkivenu, it is our evening prayer for peace and protection. And as we say these words, we can be grateful for all of the ways in which we feel and we experience safety and security in our lives right now. And it is also a moment where we can send out our thoughts, our prayers, and lots of good energy to those who need a little extra peace, protection, and safety in our world right now. And so as we say this prayer this evening, I invite you to think for yourselves about who you might be thinking about or which parts of the world might be in need of these prayers right now. I know I'm particularly thinking about the folks in Turkey and Syria who just lived through a pretty horrific earthquake. Unfortunately, many people did not live through that, and we're still kind of sorting all of that out. So the folks in that part of the world in Turkey and Syria, could use a little extra peace, a little extra comfort as we pray for some peace and security over there. There was an earthquake. It was a really big earthquake. So we're going to sing together 3 lines down in the Hebrew, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, spread over us your canopy of peace.
Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Baruch Adonai, habarei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol mo Yisrael v'al Yerushalayim.
Amen. Bryn, we invite you to share with us how you have been making the world a better place.
I make the world a better place when I give a compliment, help someone, or give my old clothes. I can donate my toys and stuff that other people could use more than me.
Thank you so much. Lots of beautiful examples. Are you going to help lead Vishamru too? Yeah. So Asher, and you can head on up there too as we turn to page 46, and Asher and Bryn will lead us in Vishamru.
I can't reach it then. Here.
Can you move over, Bryn? Yeah, you can both fit. There's enough room for 4 feet on that. Just don't fall off. We know what happens when you fall down.
Shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
ביני ובין בני
ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
כי 6 ימים
עשה אדוני
את השמיים
ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
וביום השביעי
שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. תודה רבה. We invite Jasmine to come on up to share how you've been making the world a better place.
I make this world a better place when I help homeless people by giving them gifts, food, hats, gloves, and socks, and donations.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Especially, we haven't had that cold of a winter, but it still gets pretty cold at night. So that is such a wonderful mitzvah to be able to do. We continue on the middle of page 46 with Hatzi Kaddish.
יקדע ויתקדש שמי רבה.
Amen.
עמד יפרע כרותי וימליך מלכותי.
בחייכון
וביומכון ובחיי כל בית ישראל. בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך. לעולם ידבר יתברך וישתבח וידבר ותורה ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמא ואמרו
Amen. Before we move into the Amidah, we invite Dahlia to come on up to tell us how you have been making the world a better place.
I make the world a better place when I pick up trash. When I pick up trash from the ground to be nice to the earth. This is something I did on Martin Luther King Day this year. Also be kind and nice and helpful to others.
Thank you so much. So we turn to page 47, and I invite you to rise if you're comfortable and able to do so. And our Amidah in the evening is, we move through that silently. And so I invite you to move through the words either in Hebrew or in English, or take in some of the poetry and commentary around the page from 47 through 52, or just take a quiet moment for yourselves, and then we will come back together with some prayers for peace. We conclude together on page 51 with the words of Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
You may be seated. We continue on page 54 with Kaddish Shalem.
Yigadavi Rashmi Rabam, Yamani Brakutim, Vichmachude, Kaikonu, Yamikonu, Kaiko Be Israel, Bagalasma Grivimuru. Amen. Yaheshmi Rabam Barak. Yalam Yamayamaya Yitbarach. Yitbarach Yishtabak Vito Arbitrary in the Savit, to Darvit Lavis Laushmi, Bishab, Barichu, Li Elamiko Bechata Visharat, Tushbechata Benachamata, Dami, Rami, Amavimuru. Amen. Take about the Lord of home, Obey to Kontako Israel, Kodam, Honovish, Vimuru. Amen. Yaheshlam Ravi Shemai, Bechaim, Ko Israel, Vimuru. Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Bimromav. Uya say Shalom Aleinu. Ve'al Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Yisrael. V'imru, Amen.
Rabba Kitabet for helping to lead us in Oseh Shalom. We turn to page 56, and I invite you to rise if you are comfortable and able to do so for Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'tekidu l'yotzeh b'reshit, shelo asanu kigayeh haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama. Shelo sam chalkeinu kahem, ve'goram leinu kecho hamonam, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, malchei hamlachim, hakadosh baruch hu, v'ne'emar, v'haya Adonai l'melech ha'kol haaretz. Bayom ha'u, Adonai echad, u'shemu echad.
You may be seated. We turn to page 58 for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. This week in our community, we observe the yard sites of Harry Adler, Florence Aronowitz, Minnie Benoff, Elaine Danovitz, Shifra Davidoff, Max Dubin, Minnie Elwood, Louis Flick, Harry Gallup, Zelda Gould, Lisa Warren Heyman, Bess Jockelson, Leslie Kuhn, Bernard Lichtenstein, Sarah Lichtenstein, Anna Lieberman, Pauline Nason, Jessica Parsons, Janice Pavelau, Harriet Pure, Yetta Rabinowitz, Meyer Stadlin, Lenore Wachs, and Charles Wenzel. We also send our condolences to Rich Gersh and his family, including you, Josh, on the passing of his father, grandfather, uncle, Sidney Gershkow. Many last names, Sidney Gershkow. We also extend our condolences to Debbie Friedman and her family on the passing of her brother, Robert Boggio. I invite those who are in mourning or who are reciting Kaddish to please rise, along with all those for whom it is their custom to rise in support of the mourners or for those who have no one to say Kaddish for them. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, v'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach v'yolam l'olnei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal, shemei d'kudasha b'rechu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran b'yalma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates peace on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, and to all who dwell on earth. And we say together, Amen. May the memories of our loved ones forever be a blessing. Before we move toward the conclusion of our service this evening, I want to share just some very short words about our Torah portion and some blessings and appreciation for our Kita Bet students. So, as I said earlier, as Kobe and his sister so beautifully led us in the words of Micha Mocha, last week in our Torah portion, we read the story of the Israelites as they were leaving Egypt and leaving slavery behind. So what we read in our Parsha is that they crossed the sea, they celebrated on the other end with those words that we already sang tonight, and then they continued on into the wilderness. This week, as they're continuing on in the wilderness, they arrive at a really important place where some really important things are going to happen. So in this week's Parsha, they arrive at Mount Sinai. Talia, what happens at Mount Sinai? Moses gets the 10 Commandments.
I thought that's where they built the hospital.
Also that. So if anyone got hurt, they're all protected, God willing. Ha-ha. So this is the week where they come to Mount Sinai, and it's a very dramatic scene as they get the 10 Commandments. We're going to read that tomorrow morning if you want to hear a little bit more about that. But that's a really important part in our Torah portion. So before, though, we even get to that really important part in our story, those who have began or already studied for their B'nai Mitzvah, you know that there's lots of different things that happen in every Torah portion, right? So before they even get to Mount Sinai, we get this other really important story. And so we first read about an interaction between Moses and his father-in-law. So this is his wife Tzipor, it's her father, and his name is Yitro. And we read about this interaction between them where Yitro is watching as person after person after person is coming up to Moses asking for help. And Moses is the one in charge, and he needs to kind of figure out what to do. Maybe they're not feeling well. Maybe they're having a dispute with someone. Whatever it is that's going on in their lives, they don't know how to do for themselves because they've been slaves in Egypt for over 400 years. So they need help kind of figuring out how to be people, how to be around other people, and they need a lot of help. So they keep coming up to Moses to ask for all of this help. And Yitro, Moses' father-in-law, says to Moses, this is not going to be good for you. What we read as the Israelites left is that it wasn't just a couple of families, it wasn't just a couple of people who were with Moses traveling around. It was over 600,000 people that left Egypt. Could you imagine 600,000 people wandering around in the desert? That's a lot of people. So for Moses to be the one leader for 600,000 people is kind of a big job. So Yitro says to Moses, I think you might need a little help. Thankfully, Moses, wise as he is, takes his father-in-law's advice, and he brings some other people on. He brings in some additional leaders, some additional counselors, so that he isn't the only one anymore who is there to be able to hear what's going on with the community, to help them when they need help, and to help make things better in the community. But not only is he then better able to take care of the community, but it turns out he's also better able to take care of himself. Because you could imagine he was probably spread pretty thin trying to care for 600,000 people. So even though most of us, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that we might not find ourselves in charge of 600,000 people in our time, maybe ever, that's okay. So we might not find ourselves in the exact situation of Moses. I think that we can still kind of take this advice that Yitro offered to him and bring it into our day and see what we can learn from it. So Kita Bet, I'm so inspired by all of the ways in which each of you shared that you have found ways to help make the world a better place. And I know that for most of these things actually that I heard are not just one and done kinds of experiences. Knowing who you are and the kinds of things that you said, I also know that these are things that you do over and over again as you live in the world, and as you see what needs to be done, and as you show kindness to others. There are so many ways in which we can and that you already do continue to make the world a better place. And you can see from each of those examples also that when we work together, like Moses learned to do this week, that we can accomplish, most likely, so much more than we might even be able to do all by ourselves. And when we do that, we can have an even bigger impact on the world around us. So you can think about whether you're picking up trash, or whether you're giving clothes to those who need it, or whether you're showing kindness to someone. If one person does that, that's a wonderful mitzvah. But if other people come along to help you, how much more trash can you pick up? How much more people can you help? How much more kindness can you inspire in the world? We can see the enormity of the impact that we can have when we do that. So we learn, there's this very famous line in Pirkei Avot where we read that you're not required to finish whatever the work is. You're not required to make sure that every single homeless person in the world has everything that they need, or that every piece of trash is all picked up from everywhere in the world. You're not required to finish that work, but you're also not permitted to desist from it, which means that you need to take part in it in some way. So, kitabet, even though some of the tasks might feel really big in the world, when we think about the kinds of things that the world needs from us, from all of us, and we think about all the ways in which we might want to help and make a difference, I hope that you can also always remember never to stop trying. And that each good choice that you make, like you taught us, Ryan, every good choice that we make can have a positive impact on the world, and maybe will inspire someone else to make a good choice too. So may you always find ways to bring others along to help as you care for the world around you, and God willing, as you care for yourselves as well. May you continue to discover even more opportunities as you continue to grow and mature in the world for making the world a better place. And I know that we're all going to benefit from those things that you choose to do. And may you continue to be the blessings that you all are to your families and to your classes and to your communities and to all the people who you choose to surround yourselves with. So Shabbat Shalom to all of you. And Shabbat Shalom to all of you. Mazel Tov to all of our families. And it has been such a joy to share the Bima with all of you today. You're welcome back anytime. We love to have help up here. And clearly you are continuing to learn your prayers, and it is very inspiring to see. And so we want to offer you one more blessing before we move into our final song of this evening. Asher. We have, I'm short. You know, it was one page. Come to High Holidays, and then you'll see what some long words are. All right, so we have a blessing that we offer every Friday night that we offered to Jude earlier today, and that we get to offer to the rest of you this evening. So if you want to follow along, parents and family members, we're on page 75, and we invite you to hold your loved ones close to you if you're sitting next to them, to think about all the people that you love in your lives, and to send this blessing to whoever it is that you would like to send this blessing to. And Cantor Benjamin, you're going to help share this blessing with our community. May God bless you and protect you. May God's face give light to you and show you favor. May God's face be lifted towards you and bestow upon you peace. May it be God's will. May you all be who you are and be blessed in all that you are and all that you will become. Amen. So before we get to our closing song, which hopefully some of you have, if you don't, Josh, do you have more? Are there more? Maybe? Okay, you might know the words. So I want to give a huge toda rabah, a huge thank you to Moa Marsha, Moa Deanna, and to Brody, who's not here tonight, but who also gets to help our students, and to Moa Suzanne, who's somewhere around as well, for helping to nurture our students and make all of this possible. And it has been lovely to over here, all of their Zoom classes on Tuesdays, and to see you all grow during the week. As we go back into the social hall, you'll also notice the beautiful arrangements on the tables, also made by Mora Marsha and Kita Bet. So appreciate that beauty as well. And helpfully, they're green, which is also good because we are going to close our service this evening with a little Eagles fight song.
In Hebrew.
So the Hebrew might not be something we all know, but we'll sing the Hebrew and then we'll sing the English too, because that may be more
I don't know the English.
Me neither.
Come on.
Okay, ready? Okay, good. Here we go, in the Hebrew. Ufu nisharim, yashar lenitzachon. Ufu nisharim, touchdown shigayon. Baraglayim, bayadayim, mariim hanisharim. Ufu nisharim, atam hanatzchim. In English. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fly, Eagles, fly. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit 'em low, hit 'em high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Go birds. Go birds. Josh, you come up that class and do all the
You can give them back to Nora Marsha.